Hi guys, I want to talk to you about worship. This video is particularly for parents, but really it's for everybody. So please stick around and watch the whole thing, even if you don't have little kids. We particularly want to help those people, but this is really for everybody. Because I want to talk about worship. And thanks to COVID-19, we've been worshiping at home for the past bunch of months, and recently we've had a few people start coming back in person, but there have been pros and cons to that. Some people have told me that there's been something that's been kind of cool about having the worship services come like all the way into your home situation. Sit down with your family on the couch, be cozy and friendly, and like have the sermon be heard in that context all the way into home. So it's not something you go to church and that happens at church and then it's hard to translate that back into home, but now you hear it at home in that private space. There's a value to that. So there are positives to this, but there are obviously also drawbacks to it. The lack of ability to gather as a community and be with each other, and the connecting and supporting and stuff that can happen before and after the service, and that sense of worshiping together, singing together, praying together with other voices to the Lord, rather than being isolated in our homes. So I want to talk about what do we do now and into the future, because we don't know where this thing's going, and we need to think about what our responsibility is with worship and what we even want with worship. And I find that this situation provides a useful thought experiment, actually, because I think it's valuable to imagine a world where what we're doing currently is what we've got for the next 5 years. Is what you're currently doing in terms of watching services online through a screen sufficient for keeping the Sabbath day holy, sufficient for worshiping the Lord? Is it sufficient for your children, if you've got children, particularly little children, but even teenage children, adult children? Is this sufficient? And if not, but we can't change what happens at church or how many people can come to church, if we can't change that, then what can change in your home? What can you add or change about what you're doing in your home? And the thing I like about this situation is it makes us think about worshiping, I think, in a better way, because we think of it as something that we do on a Sunday in a building. But some of you have experienced living in a place where there isn't a new church nearby, and so maybe you attend a different church, or maybe you attend online. Hi, buddy.
Papa,
Yes?
we're gonna show the movie soon.
Okay.
So, are you gonna watch it soon?
I'll come as soon as I can, buddy, okay? What was I saying here? The idea that we think of it as something that happens at church, and maybe some people who are particularly religious do something at home as well. But really, it should be the opposite way around. Church should be a place where people who would worship on their own, wherever they happen to be, have a chance to come together. But it starts with people who want to worship, that then means that it happens in the building, not that the building is where the worship happens, and then maybe people go out from there and worship elsewhere. I feel like I'm not saying it well, but do you get the idea? Because primarily, our responsibility to worship is not...
What is happening?
What?
What is happening?
Okay, thanks, bud.
Are you gonna come?
I can't right now. Ultimately, your relationship with the Lord and your children's relationship with the Lord and your responsibility to keep the Sabbath day holy in your life, to keep that commandment, is on you. it's not on me. I mean, it's my job and Joel's job and whatever else to help facilitate that as best we can. But really, it comes down to you and your relationship and your children and their relationship. And there is a real responsibility there. I find I go back to Deuteronomy 6 when it comes to parenting. And those of you who've come to Bible studies and things for years will know I hit this text pretty often, so I apologize if it's repetition, but I think it's worth coming back to. It says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might." And this is sort of how do we do that? How do we get that love for the Lord with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength actionable? Well, this is how you do it, how you support that. "And these words which I command you today shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently to your children. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand. They shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates." So some of those things are very physical. Putting up things around your house, binding them on you. And so maybe we don't do some of those very physical things, but do we talk to our children about these things in our houses? Do we teach them to our children? Do we talk about them when we walk by the way, when we lie down, when we rise up, when we go to bed at night, when we wake up in the morning? And I'll be honest with you, I feel like I need to do better in this area, because if I just do these things in a professional capacity, as a pastor in the church, which these days, my kids can't even be in the building at the same time as me when I'm doing this, that is not enough of diligently teaching my children these things. That doesn't tick that box. And I need to set an example for them, and I even just need to do it for myself to find some other way of keeping the Sabbath day holy. And so that's my encouragement to you, is to find some way of keeping the Sabbath day holy at your home with whoever happens to be there, or whoever, depending on your living situation. There might be people who are a good friendly roommate but not particularly up for worshiping with you, so that's fine. But with your kids, with whoever's with you in your home situation that's up for it, doing some sort of worship thing together. And my encouragement is to find some time during the week to do something that does not involve a screen. I'm really glad that we can do things like offer you worship services through the internet, the videos like this, on Facebook and the Bible studies. I'm really glad we got that technology. But the challenge with those things is that we're not fully present in the same way. Because we're thinking about something happening somewhere else, something happening through the screen. We're not fully present where we are. And I think particularly for kids and little kids, they need something that's happening in the room, not something where they're watching a screen that has that sort of separation from reality kind of feeling. We need to worship the Lord in real time, in real life. And so that's my encouragement to you. Start with something weekly to keep the Sabbath day holy. Could be on a Sunday, or, if your schedule is such that Sunday's not a good day, maybe Monday or something. Find some weekly thing to do with the receptive people in your house without a screen involved. So what does that look like? Well, it could be a whole bunch of things. And if you've got kids from little ones up to teenagers, I'm going to be calling you or messaging you to say, how can I help? What are you currently doing? Because I want to learn from you what you're doing that works. If you're not doing anything yet, my point is not to make you feel guilty. I'm sort of trying to help us collaborate together on how to do better at this. Abby and I have had some success and a whole lot of failure. We have had, because, it very easily can devolve. You have all these visions of what it could be. We're going to sit down, we're going to light candles, we're going to open the Word. It's going to be such a nice connecting time. We're going to read the Word together, sing songs together, and it just devolves into fights about who gets to light the candle that night. And everyone ends up grumpy and angry, and then we end early because it's not even worth it. I've been there many times, to the point where we gave up on it for a long time. And if I'm honest, even about right now, the majority of what happens because of Abby, not because of me. She's the one managing to get them to do stuff. When I get involved, I tend to get more frustrated and mess things up. Anyway, so I am not going to be coming to you as someone saying, like, be more like me. I'm great at this. But I am coming as someone with experience with it and with some ideas. And there's a lot of range of possibility. It might just be that you pray together. And this is something you can do even without without kids or a spouse. You can just pray on your own, or if you've got someone else you're living with, pray with them once a week. Say the Lord's Prayer together. Hold hands, say the Lord's Prayer together. More often would be nice, but start with once a week without a screen on. Not just while the people on the screen are doing it, but just to be fully present in the room, say the Lord's Prayer together. Maybe if you're brave, say something from your heart before you say the Lord's Prayer together and invite each person there to say something. That can be enough. Or you can open the Word first and then say the prayer together. Open the Word, or light a candle, open the Word. Or you can add in reading something. And if you want help, if you want to read something and your kids are old enough to get that, great. I can help you figure out some place to read from. But don't let that be a reason not to do it. Well, my kids can't understand that yet, so I'm not going to bother doing anything. No. There's a value, there remains in just doing some small thing. I can help you find something that will work, or at least is worth trying. It'll crash and burn half the time, but it's worth trying. I hope you get the idea. There's a whole range of things you can sing together if you want to, or no, if you don't want to sing and that's not going to work in your family, that's fine too. Whole range of things you can do. And one other thing I wanted to be sure to say is that I don't want this to feel like yet another chore that you have to do. I know that for a lot of us, there are just too many things to try to do in this weird situation. And so I'm not trying to pile more guilt and things to do and things to feel bad about if you don't get them done onto you in the midst of all the other things you're trying to do between work and home. But again, think of that longer term picture. If we're doing this situation for the next months or years, how does that change the picture on what feels like a priority? What's worth putting the time into to figuring out? And nobody likes doing things that they feel inept at or bad at. I shy away from those sorts of things all the time. Give me something that's in my wheelhouse, I'm much more willing to do it. And so I get it if you feel like, I have no idea how to do this, so I'm not going to think about it, I'm not going to do it. I get that, and nobody knows really how to do this well. You gain that ability by trying it, by having it crash and burn. Every single parent I know who I've talked to about family worship has many stories about things crashing and burning, sometimes literally burning with candle mishaps. So you are not alone if tears end up being involved with little kids or it just does not work well. But you can also get those moments of connection and peace and magic. There's little glimpses of heaven that can make a huge difference. They don't come as often as we'd want them to. This is not as easy as we would want it to be. And yet it is also worth it. So I hope this can feel like a starting point, something to try once a week, something. Maybe even 10 minutes or less, 5 minutes or less, something. Can you do that? Because it will accomplish something. It will communicate something to your kids. It will communicate something to yourself about what your priorities are. And you'll learn in the process about how to worship the Lord better. And it'll be worth the investment of time and energy, even in the midst of having lots of other things to deal with.